boys and girls, and welcome to Online Learning. I'm so excited to get started. As you know, I'll be teaching you guys Bible, and Mrs. Bethune's going to be teaching you social studies. If you guys have any questions at all, you can email us, and we're happy to help you. Also, check out everything on our website. All of your assignments and videos will be posted there. So, first off, I have to ask everyone, how was your spring break? What'd you guys do? I did something very exciting. I went out and bought an electric piano. Oh yeah! Some of you guys know I play the piano, but I hadn't had a real piano in my house for a long time, so I was very excited and have been playing it ever since. I hope you guys had an awesome spring break. All right, let's get started with our lesson. So, we're going to be talking about David and Goliath today. But before we get into the story, I wanted to show you our verse of the week. Now, this is not a memory verse, but I'm going to be memorizing it just for fun. So I think you guys could too. It's Psalm 25:5. It says, "Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long." Today for our Bible story, we're going to be in 1 Samuel 17. When we left Saul in our last unit, we learned that Saul became the first what of Israel? Do you guys remember? The first king of Israel. But Saul kept disobeying God, so God said, you know what? You will continue to be the king, but your sons will not be the next king when you die. I'm going to anoint a new king, and his name is David. So our story today, David and Goliath, is about that future king, David. So let's look at chapter 17, verses 1 through 3. Follow along as I read. It says, "Now the Philistines gathered their forces for war and assembled at Soko in Judah. They pitched camp at Ephes Damim between Soko and Azekah. Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. The Philistines occupied one hill and the Israelites another, with the valley between them. Now King Saul and the Israelites had battled the Philistines for many years." We've talked about the Philistines before. They were fierce warriors, and now they were going to fight the Israelites again. If you look at this map, here's a map of Soko, what we just read about. And the valley of Elah, see if you can find the valley of Elah on the map. Here it is, right there. The valley of Elah is where the Philistines and the Israelites met to fight. And if you look for Gath, it's to the left of the valley of Elah. Gath was a Philistine city, and it was only 8 miles west of Soko. So the Philistines had no problem getting water, food, and supplies when they needed them. So this helped the Philistines because they were able to get everything they needed to survive. Let's go back to 1 Samuel 17:4. Verse 4, "A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath," remember that was the city, "came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span." Now, the passage we are reading was originally written in Hebrew, and then it was translated into our language. However, there's been some new discoveries that were made to help us understand the measurements for Goliath. While most translations say Goliath was 9 feet tall, with these new discoveries, we now know that Goliath was about 6 feet 9 inches tall, which still made him a giant, still pretty tall. I have a picture to show you guys this. As you guys know, my husband Sam is 6 foot 7 inches tall, so he's pretty tall. From this translation, it says Goliath was 6'9", so he was about 2 inches taller than Sam. So probably the top of our door frame is how tall Goliath was. Sam wanted to make a funny pose, so that's the one he chose. Let's look at verses 5 through 6. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he wore a coat of scale armor. Scale armor. I wonder what that is. Weighing 5,000 shekels. On his legs he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, and its iron point weighed 600 shekels. His shield bearer went ahead of him. In this verse, it mentions scale armor. Now, scale armor is small plates of metal that overlap. It looks a lot like the scales of a fish. Now, why do you think that the warriors would wear this type of armor? Well, it would help protect against spears or different things thrown from their enemy. And it would protect their bodies. Now, in our passage, it talked about how much his armor weighed, how much Goliath's armor weighed. It said Goliath's scale armor was about 125 pounds. That's like if we were to put 3 third graders all together. That's how much his armor weighed. It also talked about his spear weighing about 15 pounds when we translate the passage. 15 pounds. So not only was Goliath 6'9", a fierce Philistine warrior, he had armor that was so heavy and a spear that was heavy. That shows us how strong Goliath was as a warrior. Let's go back to our passage. Look at verse 7. Verse 8. It said, Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." Then the Philistines said, "This day I defy the armies of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other." On hearing the Philistines' words, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. Here's a picture of Goliath terrorizing the Israelites. So Goliath was taunting them, and he told the Israelites, "Find a man to fight me. If that man can win, if that man could win and kill me, the Israelites would become their subjects or servants. But if Goliath killed the Israelites would have to serve the Philistines." So he's presenting this challenge to the Israelites. He's saying, whoever can defeat me will win and will be their servants, or if I defeat them, I'll win and the Israelites will have to be the Philistines' servants. And it said the Israelites responded and were what? It said they were terrified. This giant man, this Philistine warrior with this heavy armor and spear is challenging them, and they were terrified. Let's see what happens next in our passage. Verses 12 through 15. Now David, so here comes David. Now David was the son of an Ephrathite named Jesse, who was from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse had 8 sons. Ooh, that's a lot of kids. And in Saul's time, he was very old. So it said Jesse was very old. Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul to the war. The firstborn was Eliab, the second Abinadab, and the third Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 oldest followed Saul. So it's saying the 3 oldest sons were part of Saul's army. But David went back and forth from Saul to tend his father's sheep at Bethlehem. So here's a map of David's journey from Bethlehem to the battleground. Bethlehem was 15 miles from Soku. See if you can find Bethlehem on the map. Apparently, David went back and forth from Bethlehem to the front lines to bring food to his brothers. It probably took him about 5 hours to walk each way. Whew, that's a bit long walk. David went back home each day to Bethlehem to take care of his father's, do you guys remember which animal it was? His father's sheep, you got it. So David is seeing Goliath calling out to the Israelites. See what happens next. It's our last verse of the day. Verse 16. For 40 days the Philistine, that's Goliath, came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. So every day, for how many days you guys remember from the passage? 40 days. Every day for 40 days, Goliath would go out to taunt the Israelites. So I'm sure David, who's bringing food to his brothers every day, saw Goliath terrorizing the Israelites. So that is where our lesson ends today. I want to quickly go over our Bible verse. One more time, it's Psalm 25:5. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. And lastly, this is your activity for the day for Bible. What challenge have you faced in the 3rd grade, and how did it make you feel? So just like the Israelites were challenged every day by Goliath, and it made them feel terrified, I want to hear, what challenge have you faced in the 3rd grade, and how did it make you feel? You can provide your answer on a piece of paper. You can write it out. You can type it up in an email, whichever way is best for you, and then send it to your teacher. Just be sure that you write at least 5 sentences. Thank you, boys and girls, for listening to the lesson today. Let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Dear Jesus, I thank you so much for today. I thank you for each and every one of these 3rd grade students. I pray that you be with them and their families, that you keep them safe. Lord, I thank you that we are able to communicate and learn online. I just pray that you will be with each and every one of these students. We love you and we thank you for who you are. In your name I